Cash One Pawn, Missoula's #1 pawn shop.
You want money? We got money. You need money? We got money. We're cash.
Do yourself a favor and make Cash One Pawn part of your online shopping habits. Cash One Pawn has an awesome online inventory, everything from firearms to power tools to speaker equipment to jewelry. Visit Cash One Pawn today.
Cash One Pawn.
8720 Roller Coaster Road, CashOnePawn.com.
Well, back for another week, and what a thriller it was in Missoula. Jordan Tripp joining us here on the Big Sky Breakdown. Montana coming off of a 24-23 win over North Dakota. And Jordan, so this is the first time I've ever done this. I was gone. I was not at the game. I was in Vegas with my mom. Took her to
Nice.
the Sphere. Took her to the Eagles, so that was cool. It was just the timing just worked out in terms of when it was. I wasn't trying to skip work, but so I actually was watching the game live, which I always watch the replay back, but I was
Right.
watching it live, which was a totally new experience for me. It was fun. It was great, and you did a great job on there.
Oh,
But
thanks, man.
I had my mom and my father-in-law were asking me before we started watching it, like, who's going to win, and I was like, well. The Griz are at home, so you pretty much always say the Griz are going to win when they're at home because they pretty much always win
Yeah, it's
at
such a
home. And then they're down 23-14. My father-in-law was like, I don't know, man. I don't think you called this one right. And then they came all the way back and win. What a crazy comeback. Then what'd you think of just the fourth quarter? What was that like being on the call for a game like that?
being on the call for that game was a blessing and a curse because so many times I caught myself listening to Trey.
Right.
It was so badass, some of the stuff that was going on. And I was like, oh yeah, shit, there's a replay here. I got to talk about this, and it was so cool though because like you said, it's 23-14 in 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they put it together. And the last 5.5 minutes was as good as advertised that we talked about all week. And I mean, not that the first, 3.5 quarters of the game were poor. It's just for Montana to put it together. It was pretty cool to watch, man. I mean, that was one of the best comebacks from just a good ball standpoint. Because it's not like North Dakota just did a bunch of terrible things.
No.
I mean, they played good football down the stretch. Montana caught a couple breaks and they capitalized on opportunities and just played better and made plays that they didn't make for the first 3.5 quarters. So it was a lot of fun being in the booth to call it and letting the game pretty much just carry the broadcast, really.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me how throughout Bobby Hauck's career, ever since I first started covering him in 2003, I guess it was 2005 when I first started covering, but ever since 2003, so often the Grizz are in these dogfight games early in the season. And then so often his teams like gain momentum, and then all of a sudden it comes November and then they start whooping up on teams. But it's just so interesting to me that they find themselves in these games and they turn Grizz Nation upside down because you're like, wow, how's this team playing so poorly? What's going on? All these different things. But then they figure it out. They have these like magical fourth quarters where they figure it out and they find a way to win. And there has to be a method to the madness. I mean, because he's won 140 games now, right? So he's obviously got a
Yeah.
formula here. But I just think it's fascinating how often they're in these tight games close early in the season, but also how often they figure out a way to win them, especially at home.
Yeah. I mean, we could sit here and do coach speak, but I mean, the truth of the matter is he preaches winning time, and
Right.
it's incredibly important to practice and go through the situations and historically how teams and when he was there before and I mean he's here now, and I think that it's different with NIL, but you can develop a tradition and a brand of football that in a culture to where it's expected to win and perform in those you're expected to win and perform in those situations where the game is on the line or you do have an opportunity to win or it is third down, fourth quarter. I mean, you're in the red zone. I mean, whatever it is, you need to capitalize and win. And he teaches that so well. And for so many years, you're absolutely right. There's been a number of those games where the good teams always find a way to win. I mean, and not to go off topic, but look at the University of Miami last year. I mean, they were good in Cam Ward. I mean, they just find a way to win, and they're in all these
Yeah.
close games. And I mean, there's a bunch of different teams out there that are like that. In Montana, when they have good teams in good years, and it is more often than not, they find a way to win in those close games. It's just part of the pedigree that I think Coach Hauk and his staff instill in their players. And one of the, I would say, if it's one thing that rings true through all of it, probably the most important is just his demand of attention to detail. I mean, New England did it forever. They don't do anything spectacular. It's just we do our job and we're going to do it better than you when it's crunch time.
And the offense is getting so much credit because they did score 10 points in the last 5 minutes, but you can't do it without the defense. I think that's where Hauk and Roger Cooper and Kim Hauk and I guess both Hauks, all those guys deserve so much credit because they also are getting these guys to rise their level too, right? I thought the defense actually played well, period, on
I
on
would agree with
on
that.
Saturday, except for a couple busted things, and we'll get to that because
Yeah.
there's also we talked about rotations last week too. There were some rotations, there were some guys that were in some weird spots, and we'll get to that here in just a little
Yeah.
while. But I thought when they went with their top unit and they really demanded it of those guys, I mean that's actually what won them the game, right? You can't score the 10 unanswered unless you get the three straight stops, and I think that was the undertold story of the fourth quarter.
No doubt. I thought that you're spot on with that assessment. The defense I mean, they've only played 2 games, but that was their best game of the two. And they played better as the game went on. And something that it didn't dawn on me until after I watched the game a couple of times was I think with the rotational aspect, and we'll get to it, I think that North Dakota got worn down a little bit, and Montana was a little bit fresher when they put their first team back in. They had a little bit more juice, it looked like to me, and not that North Dakota did anything poorly, but they looked fresher the more that I watched the game a couple of different times, and they just made the plays when North Dakota didn't, and any 50-50 opportunity Montana came up with. I mean, obviously that last throw and the last stand by the defense was, I mean, about as exceptional as it can get. So, but the offensive line for Montana down the stretch played some really clean football. I mean, they looked the best that they did the whole game in the fourth quarter.
Thanks so much for listening to the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series and for tuning into our Skyline Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to both the podcast and all your various podcast hosted networks and to the YouTube channel as well. Thanks to our great partners, including Ryan Miller and Coburn Law. Ryan Miller and Coburn are ace attorneys, each with different expertise. Paul Ryan, the master when it comes to DUIs. Angie Miller, excellent in medical malpractice. Abigail Coburn, federal drug charges. She's the one you want defending you. They can help in any and all sorts of criminal defense cases. They have a live answering service that's available 24 hours a day, 406-542-2233. You can also visit rmcattorneys.com. Ryan and Miller and Coburn, your Montana attorneys. Let's hear from RMC right now. So tell me about just the behind the scenes for the firm expansion from just a branding and promotions standpoint.
Yeah, so I love the branding aspect of the business. That is something that, I don't know why, but it's like my little creativity outlet. And so when we were looking at doing the rebrand, we had our diamonds and we wanted to kind of update those to incorporate, where we were going. And so we talked about it. And one of the big things that drives us is that we are that link from our clients to justice, that we, get them to justice that they deserve. And so that's kind of where those 3 diamonds came into play, and that inner link to represent us connecting our clients to justice. And it really hits home for us.
They definitely did, and they looked not good early on too. And I think part of it, Andrew Schmidt and I were talking about this earlier this week on one of our other podcasts. I think a lot of the protection was just getting called wrong because I think 3 of those 6 sacks was just free man run right
Yeah,
out. But then they fixed it in the fourth quarter. You could definitely tell they adjusted it.
they did. Yeah, they're absolutely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's exactly what happened. There's a couple protections that were wrong. There was a couple where that defensive end who I thought was pretty damn good, Lance Rucker, the number 0.
He's
He
good.
had, he had a good get off, and he just won a one-on-one twice, just straight up, one on up and under. That was, I mean, there's no protection for that. You just got
Right.
blocked it, dude. He's just anyway. So yeah, I thought they played a lot better down the stretch.
Yeah. Well, and then Ayat, see, Kaylee Ayat, I think is such an interesting case study to me because we've talked about how much you need to have patience with a young quarterback, and this year they are having patience with him. And it's just 2 games in a row where he's made um, mistakes in the first half and then really figured it out. It's so interesting because when he does have a little bit of hesitancy within him, and when
Hmm.
he hesitates, sometimes it's just so fundamentally based, right? He doesn't step into his throw, he'll sail it or
Right.
throw it short. But this is where I know he's so talented. When it comes down to it, though, and he stops thinking about it, like when it was just when they were just running their 4 minute stuff, like the whole last 10 minutes of that game, and he's just go go go. He's absolutely money. I almost wonder if they should just run the hurry up with him. I don't know. I know Bobby Houck's not going to do that. He's
No, you're right though, and that's part of the maturation process.
yeah,
And when what I mean, he's been in 2-minute situations before, and we say younger. I mean, Coach Houck hit on it. He started 8 games. He is a sophomore. He doesn't have a ton of experience in game, and so to see how he performed last year when things would go wrong compared to this year when things would go wrong, he just stuck with it, man, and stayed foot on the gas, stayed in command of the offense, stayed very calm, and he didn't get rattled. And then I mean, to your point, when he had to have it, he stops thinking because there's no other option. You either hit the throw
right.
on 4th and 11, or you hit the throw to Brooks Davis for a touchdown, or the game's over. So he doesn't like, and that's when he's at his best. When he, like you said, any athlete really, but when he's not thinking. And I think that that's going to come more and more the more he understands defensive looks and his progressions, because you see it at times. And holy cow, man, the kid he has such a live arm. It is wild. I mean, I'll say it again. He did it the previous week. He threw a couple of just 8-yard out routes on the opposite hash outside the numbers. That it's an 8-yard gain. That's a 35-yard throw, and it's a frozen rope, and it's just a flick, and it's just you don't see that. And then that throw that he made to Brooks was just it was beautiful. Both throws that he made to Brooks, the one in traffic was beautiful as well.
Yep. And he had that one in the first half too that was ridiculous too, where he sloughed. I think it was to Bohannon,
It
where
was,
he sloughed off the potential sack and then stepped into it, and that was also a rope. My
yeah,
phone goes ding 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 ding. So
yeah.
many people want to throw, want to throw, want to throw. Like it was pretty fun to watch.
No, that's funny. And I know that Coach Pease doesn't want this, and you can just tell how competitive he is, though. So their strong safety for North Dakota was probably the best player on their team, in my opinion, or free safety. He came out of middle field, and Keely dropped his shoulder, and I mean, he sat him down and just completely buckled him. And I'm just like, okay, you starting quarterback, this is exactly what Coach Pease is talking about. You haven't done it in 2 weeks. You don't need to run over, this starting safety. But he's just I mean, that's who he is. He's just a competitor. And when it clicks like it has consistently, look out, man. Like that dude is like he has an opportunity to be a bad dude.
No doubt.
I
Well, you can also tell they've put an emphasis on trying to make him not take very many hits, like you're saying. Like Pease doesn't
Yeah,
like it when he gets in the open field and tries to
yeah.
put guys over. But I wonder if and when they start leaning on that element a little bit more. I would expect probably not for the next while, but down
Till
the
down the
stretch,
stretch.
man, I think we're going to see even more RPOs and zone read stuff, and because I mean that's the other part. He's an electric athlete too. He doesn't just have a live arm; like he is a great athlete. He can really run
He's
too.
strong, and I mean, he's all of 6'2". I mean, he's a big kid, and he's young, but you stand next to him, and he's not a little quarterback. I
No,
mean,
not at all.
and he's he's a strong kid, man. I mean, when people hit him, they feel it. And a couple of times, like you said, he has a defensive end or a nickel or linebacker slough off of him on pressure, stepping up in the pocket, which is another thing that he's done 2 games in a row now and made big throws, so stepping up in the pocket. I mean, you're just watching him grow, and it's so fun because he's a competitor and he cares so much. It means a lot to him, and you can tell that his teammates know it means a lot to him. And I just think that there's a real opportunity there for the team to just continue to elevate as he elevates.
Other spots that you thought looked good for the Griz on Saturday? I mean, we got to talk about Brooks Davis for a minute, right?
Yeah. So I'll get to Brooks Davis. I think Keon Loud might be one of the best players in the entire FCS.
I think that's actually absolutely true. I hate that I think this, but every time I watch him, I'm like, man, I hope he stays around.
Oh my! That's the first thing I think of.
Because he's a next level guy, man. Like he's a FBS corner. He looks exactly like a Pac-12 corner.
Yeah, and he's a competitor, and watching him in camp a little bit and talking to Tim Houck about him, and then I mean they threw all 3 of their receivers at him last week, and he just no. He got beat on that go ball against Central Washington. Didn't even phase him. 2 plays later, he breaks up a pass and goes the other way. And just he wants. It seems like he just wants to be in the big moment, and not just because he's a rah-rah guy, because he can handle it. And I mean that tackle that he had on. I know he got the flag after, but that tackle he had on Jerry Kaminsky, on that little half roll, he made that look so easy. That's a good athlete. The quarterback's a good athlete in space, and that was a strong tackle out of bounds. Fit just strong, and I mean he just ran right through him like it was a tackling drill. Didn't even worry about getting shook. And I just think that's a player that is a huge part of the defense and team. And it completely changes the dynamic of what you can do on defense when you have a corner like that. And and then going to Brooks, good to see, and Keon's young too, but good to see a young guy get on the field and just, I mean, he didn't look like a young guy. He blocks his ass off. He runs beautiful routes, catches the ball in traffic. The stage isn't too big for him. So there's some good young guys. And I mean, the list goes on. There's so many other guys we could talk about.
Yo, Tara, what up, E?
What's going on? Man, those are some nice medals.
Yeah, man, these are hard to come by.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 of them.
Well, that's nothing like going to March Madness, though.
We did go to a national championship.
Okay, guys, whatever. Let's just get on the Montana party bus and head over to Press Box for lunch.
Yeah.
Nuanez now and Skyline Sports, covering Montana athletics and the Big Sky Conference better than anybody. The Montana Party Bus and the Press Box are also proud supporters of Montana athletes.
Hey, cheers to you guys, man. Cheers to Montana. Cheers to chasing more championships.
Thanks so much for listening to our Big Sky Breakdown podcast series and for tuning into our Skyline Sports YouTube channel. If you have not, please rate, review, and subscribe. Particularly subscribe. Click on the subscribe button. That helps us out a ton. Thanks to our great partners who help make all of this content possible, including Ty Hobbs at Keller Williams Real Estate. Ty's a great friend of mine, guy I lift weights with in the mornings, and a guy I golf with as much as I can, but he's also an ace realtor. I did not choose him as my realtor because he's my friend, although that was a big perk. He is excellent when it comes to everything from efficiency to negotiation to no frills, no BS. He got our house on the market and got it sold in less than 24 hours, more like 4 hours. It was an impressive turnaround. He got us exactly the contract that we wanted. We needed to stay in our house for a couple months because we had a new build coming up. He negotiated that flawlessly. The negotiation part is the number one reason why we chose Ty, but he also has a great acumen when it comes to construction, building, remodels. We had a flood in our house that I needed help with repairing. Boom. He helped me out. Awesome service, awesome job. And if you're in the market for a realtor, Ty Hobbs is your guy. Let's hear more about the current real estate market from the man himself. So let's start with, how would you characterize the real estate market currently in both Missoula and Western Montana?
Well, currently in Missoula, we've seen a rise in inventory and buyer activity slow down a little bit. So it's turning more into a buyer's market. more than I've probably ever seen in the last 10 years or so.
So what does that mean, a buyer's market? How would you define that?
A buyer's market is really just means that there's more homes for sale than there are buyer demand. So buyers have choices, especially in negotiations.
And that means less leverage for somebody that's selling their house, more leverage for somebody that's trying to buy a house, correct?
Correct. More leverage for buyers.
Okay, so if you are a buyer and you hire you as your realtor, how do you go about then sort of taking advantage of that said advantage?
Well, right now you have the upper hand in negotiations, right? And first we start with a CMA and get a value and see where that price falls in, or where the value is for the buyers, and then there's other things that we can negotiate, such as like seller concessions to help buy down the interest rate, or give you a temporary break or relief on an interest rate to help with that monthly payment. So
if people want to find out about that and other listings that you have, how do they find them?
Best way is just get a hold of me by phone, 406-544-9794.
Both those guys got some personality too. Here's the other thing. I don't know. This is maybe just my perceptions of things, but these guys are showing their personality a little bit, and it seems like Bobby's letting them a little bit, which is a little bit different than it has been in the past. You know, but like Brooks Davis, like people have been shouting about on Twitter, and he's been like shouting them back out, you know, and he's like he, you know, he came on our radio show and like he retweeted it. It's like, thanks so much for having me on. And like they're letting these guys kind of do that kind of stuff, which I think, I know I get where you know the old school coaches come from and all that stuff, but I also think there's just like the way of the world now. You know, you kind of just have to trust your guys, and
you got to trust your guys, and I think Coach Houck does. And I'll say another thing about Coach Houck too is, I mean, part of an old school coach is, I mean, if it doesn't, what you do doesn't affect on the field what you do, off the field what you say or whatever, and you show up and take care of business, I mean, he'll treat you like a grown man now. It's like, if you want to talk and have some personality or whatever, stay out of trouble, fine. That's great. Like, you're a grown man and I'll treat you as such. But you know, you start falling off on the field because you think you're, I mean, you know what, don't stink. I mean, then he's going to let you know and he's going to reel you back in. But so long as your performance on the field is at your full potential, he's going to let you have that personality, man. And I think that's great. So it kind of gives, you know, everybody a little bit of an edge too. I like a little bit of juice. It's cool. I think it's good. I think it's good for the team.
It definitely is. Yeah. I'll never forget. I remember this was like, it's probably 2007. Mary Annie first starts breaking out. And this was when they used to let us go to practice because there was no social media. So we could just go chill and hang out. And I'm a college guy. So I go down there and chill because all my best friends are playing for the Griz. So I'm just like hanging out, you know. But I'll never forget it. Mary Annie had this big game. It was like his first or second breakout game. And then the Missoulian wrote this story about him. And then one day in practice, Mary Annie, he like had a drop and he was loafing it. And Bobby stopped practice and he goes, Mary Annie, I'm canceling your subscription to the effing Missoulian because you're reading too many of your own headlines. And Mark was so embarrassed by that. But, I mean, the tactic worked beautifully because guess who was first in conditioning for the entire rest of the month, right? Yeah, Mark's making sure he's out working everybody after that. So,
gosh, that's so true and so funny. And there's a multitude of stories like that. And Coach Houck knows how to he'll coach every single person differently because he knows and finds out how to get the best out of you. And some guys don't like it. And for better or worse, he's going to test you whether you did something wrong or not. And he's going to find out what you do when your back's up against it and the coach is on your ass and just riding you all day long, and then they call your number and want to see how mentally tough you are, where your breaking point's at. And I think that it's great. He knows his guys, and he does this during winter condo, during fall camp, during the season, and then all of a sudden they get put in a game and they perform. And you see a kid like Brooks Davis show up as a freshman and have the game he did for reasons like that. I can promise you that he's been put through certain situations and scenarios before he just showed up and had the day that he did, you know. And same thing with Kaylee Yacht and so many of those other guys, and it's fun to see them when they get some success and their personality come out a little bit.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you about is just
Hello, my name is Kelly Ayat, quarterback at the University of Mount Tampa. In the off-season, it's important to do everything you can to prepare for the season. In high school, that means funding your program. In my experience, Vertical Raise is the ultimate online fundraiser platform. Now broaden your reach of your fundraiser and bring in more money than other platforms. And there are no sneaky or hidden fees like other companies. If you're trying to raise money for your program, reach out to Vertical Raise today.
the rotations in the secondary, because they were, I mean, they rotate a ton, but like the
Early.
linebackers, the way they roll their linebackers, there's really no starters, right? I mean, they're
Mhm.
playing six guys. Those guys are all really good, I think. And D line, same thing. But I do think the DBs are a little different just because of the rhythm of the game, and also I just think that there's a disparity in talent. And that's not to dog on the guys that are twos and threes right
Nope.
now. Loud's just elite, man. And
Yeah.
like I think Wilkinson and Harper are elite too. So I do think you have a little bit of a drop when you roll those guys in. I mean, they gave up that 82-yard touchdown. That was with mostly, not the
No,
headliners in, but then
no,
they overcome it. So like I don't know. I guess the question is like, what do you think of the early game rotation? But also, but the fact that they figured out a way to win the game.
with that.
I mean, maybe it does. Maybe it just doesn't matter if you rotate early like that.
Well, obviously, Tim Houck and Coach Houck, I mean, Bobby Art and Cooper and everybody, they're not happy when they get, 75 yarder just over the top bomb on them. Take the top off when they're in too high. It's just like that can't happen. And I do think though that the silver lining to that is those two were in the game. Um, I mean, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just going to say what it was. Cade Cutler and Boyd are in the game, and obviously it wasn't Boyd's half, but they throw a deep post and you got the nickel over there, which I don't think it was his fault unless they were in two man and I just didn't see it. But it was a too high coverage, and they took it off the top, and they don't want that to happen. But look, it did happen, and it happened with your twos, and I guarantee you there's a great coaching point on that. And those two or three or whoever the responsible parties are, I know you live and die as a team defense, but they're going to be aware of that, and they're not going to let that happen again. The first time they come out and too high, and it's a passing situation or a max pro situation, their antennas are going to be up, and that's part of the benefit, the silver lining of when you do rotate young guys, you're going to get some of that. And like we talked last week, everybody likes the idea of creating depth until you have to do what it does or what it takes to
Totally.
create depth. You have to go through those plays, man. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a drop off. That's why they're on the two deep. I mean, not that there's anything against them, not that they're not capable of playing at the level that that first group is, because I think they are. I've seen Cutler make a couple of plays that I didn't expect this year. I mean, he's made some really nice plays. Same with Boyd. But look, I mean, there's a drop off, and they got to grow up. And Harper can play some ball. I think he's going to be a good leader for that group of younger guys as well. So you got to go through the growing pains, creating depth.
Oh yeah. Is there a transfer that's impressed you the most in terms of guys, especially on the defensive side?
Yeah, I don't think, well, two, but this isn't because I'm a linebacker, but I really like the way that Peyton Wing plays.
Oh man, he's sweet, man. I feel bad for Portland State because like that's a dude that like
Oh,
you want to build your team around, right? I mean,
oh,
he's a really talented guy.
no doubt about it. I mean, he's a locker room changer. That's the type of guy he is. And that's coming from someone who doesn't know him, like the teammates or that he has or the coaches, but you can just tell that aura of him just exudes trust from his players, and people look at him, and he plays with very little, if any, hesitation. I think he's extremely strong and physical at the point of contact. He flashes all over the field. I mean, he snaps when he hits the ball carrier or a blocker. He's fun to watch. And then the other guy that I thought had a really good game, Elijah Tolbert.
Yeah.
I I think he moves better than I thought he was going to. He's had a few different plays in the open field that have been big time plays, good tackles, good strong tackles. Those two have impressed me quite a bit, and uh, I would say who has a big ceiling is Clay Oven. He
Yeah.
that dude might be really special. To be completely honest, he can freaking roll, man. That kid can run, and I mean he can flat get with it. He might be 215 right now, but I mean he's young and he just looks strong. So I'd probably look for him to have the biggest improvement this year if everything lines up. But those are the two guys that are really have caught my eye.
Yeah, I totally agree. Those are like two of my top choices for sure. Those are the two top guys in the front six for sure. And I've been impressed with Harper. I think
Mm,
Wilkinson has a chance to be really good too.
yeah.
He's a hitter for sure. But I had Tolbert on my ESPN show today, and great dude, fun to talk to.
Hmm.
That's the other thing that's really stood out to me. I guess we can get you out of here on this. Um, because I don't really know how much we can say about Indiana State. I mean, it's an overmatched opponent. I think they're
Yeah.
Missouri Valley School. They're going to come in. They're going to give their best, whatever. But I'll get you out of here on this though. I do think this. I think that it's so interesting the way that Montana has navigated this new era. And I think 2 years ago, when they knew they were losing so many guys, they knew they kind of had to go to the portal for necessity. But the way the
Hmm.
window worked, they only had 6 days to turn around
Yeah.
and get a bunch of transfers. And I just don't think they could vet the guys properly. And then this time around, you never want to be out in the second round, but it did give them a whole month. And talking to Tolbert today, talking to Hunter Peck and Patrick Maytan and all these guys that have come in, they all say the same thing. They all came to play for the Grizz for the same reasons. They all say, same thing about the way that the locker room is built. And I just think they did a way better job of just putting together a team. Hawk talks about that all the time. You gotta put together a team now, year in and year out. And I just think they did a good job of it. It was impressive hearing Tolbert today and all the reasons why he wanted to come here. It's not about the glory and the money or anything like that. He's like, man, I just wanted to win. I want to play in front of these fans and I want to be a part of this program. So I think they did a really good job of that. How much do you think that's helping these guys have success early on?
I think it's everything. And for whatever reason it is, you do hear every single transfer and also non-transfers talk about the quote unquote the Montana way,
Yep.
this discipline details, grittiness, what this program has been built off of the pride and the tradition of it, and they're all saying the same thing. And you go, well, how do you get to that? And you go, okay, well, it's something that's easy to say. Well, then you go watch on the field and you look at a Peyton Wing, Elijah Tolbert, Wilkinson, all these kids, Harper, and another kid that you said it too, the third one I'm going to go back that I want to throw in there is Solomon Tuliapupu. That kid is playing. They all play with so much energy and so much passion, and they care. And this is nothing against other teams in years previous or transfers. This is a completely different level than that. There's a selflessness about these guys. They're all so excited to play and they play with so much energy, and you don't see the drop off, in my opinion, of just bad ball. You're not seeing bad run fits. You don't see bad pass drops. You don't see stupid mistakes. You don't see, I mean, they're playing together. And how do you put a finger on that? I don't know. I think that Coach Hauk and the staff did figure out a formula and an evaluation criteria that they're going through to find these types of players because it looks different. It looks so much different in terms of the product and effort level, attention to detail that is on the field than in years past. This defense, and I'm just going to talk about the defense because they're completely reloaded.
Right. Everybody's
It-
new. Right.
right. I mean, it's a completely different product than years past. I mean, it looks completely different. And then on the offensive side too, I could say the exact same thing. Anybody who has came in who has never been here, I would say has embraced, quote unquote, the Montana way and then raised the bar and taken it to the next level. that's what it looks like when you turn on the tape.
Meeting her stopped your world. The ring you give her should stop her heart.
Tina, will you marry me?
Not again! Don't worry, I'm gonna fix this. Because we want to be your jeweler! On our beautiful diamond! Clear! Come back to me, Tina! Are you okay?
Valley's Restoration, your view is our view, and what a beautiful view it is. We are proud to be locally owned, locally operated. We love our community here in Missoula and also the full 5 valleys that we do service. We give back to the community, we service our community. Our kids go to school here, we live here, we play here, and we love it here.
Now they just got to keep building off of it for sure. I think they've left a lot to be desired in certain ways, but I think Bobby Houck was spot on in the post game saying like, hey, we have all these brand new guys, and I don't know if we had it in us to win a game like this, and then we did. So now we got to capitalize on it. So I think certainly exciting things to come if you're the Griz.
Definitely. That was a good point that he made after the game, that I think, you look at the roster, there's some older guys, but really in terms of game experience, there's a lot of younger guys too. And when he says, I don't think that we were ready to win a game like that, but we found a way to do it. I mean, I said this to Trey in the booth. I said a win like this, to where you find a way to win and you stay with it as a team. And that's what Kaylee did. He just stuck with it and then took care of business like everybody else did when the game was on the line. And I just said, this is a trajectory changer. I mean, if you dump that last game, is your season over? No, by no means is it over at all. But what this does is so many things for the team, and it changes the trajectory of your belief and your confidence and your confidence in your coaches and your teammates and your preparation to go, we were down against this team who damn near beat Kansas State, and we came back in the fourth quarter and won. I mean, we've outscored our opponents 38-7 in the second half of the games this season. I mean, we can do it. So when you get down or the chips are down, you find a way to win and you lean on each other rather than, pull the eject tab and say, screw this. It's a complete trajectory changer.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, they just got to keep it going with Indiana State in town, and then Big Sky Conference play right around the corner. So
yeah.
Anything about this weekend's game that you're watching?
Yeah, I know that a lot. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I know that everybody talks about Indiana State and their quarterback's down, but they have a few dudes that are actually, they got some juice. I think that Montana is much more talented. I think that they are the better team, but just as the athlete, the competitor in me, it's like, these are trap games, man. And you got to make sure that your ass gets up and gets going, because they have scholarships and they have a wideout and a returner and running back and a safety who you'll see this kid Kamal, the safety, this kid can play. I mean, he's legit. And so I think they have a pretty damn decent front. They play responsibility football, and the last thing you want to do is let their receiver and this freshman quarterback get off to a hot start, and then all of a sudden their front's dialing shit up, and sorry, I can't probably cuss on this, dialing stuff up and they're causing problems for you. So you got to come up and play ball. I mean, you got to prepare like you did for North Dakota. So that's what I'll say about it.
Well, no doubt. Well, I'm out of time on my Zoom, but it's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for doing it. Be in touch next week. But I'll actually be at the game this week, so I'll come say hi to you.
Yeah, come on.
In the press box. I'll come see you at the game.
All right, brother. Sounds good.
Yeah,
join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.